I don't know what's going on here. That was Eva Cassidy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
that
She's versatile, very versatile.
oh, she had the most amazing voice and beautiful demeanor and I don't know what's going on here. That
Good.
was Eva Cassidy. There we go. Now I hear myself because Zoom is up. But yeah, she did if you look her up, she's got there's YouTube videos and stuff of her. Of course, she's gone. She's passed away, some years ago, but just such a wonderful singer she was. So, all right. Good evening, everybody. Once again, let us get the chat up, everything up and running. So I see what's going on. Very good. All right. So we're continuing with our quest to understand our own psychology by studying the psychotherapy pamphlet. And well, it's kind of cool to hear what Jesus thinks about us. It's a really different thing to hear Jesus's idea of, our what we are doing and what our psychology is and how our ego works and how
Yeah.
our true mind works. It's really cool to have all that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just want to say that Miss Cher is here, but her name is not on her picture.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Miss Cher,
Oh,
my
Cher's here. Cher, I'm here too. I just don't have I don't have a video. Hi, honey. Hi, there she is. Hi, honey. Karen, you look beautiful. Nobody would think you were just operated on.
My daughter came over yesterday and colored my hair. So God bless
oh,
my daughter.
I'm letting my hair grow gray, but I wear wigs now, so.
Oh, I'm not ready to do that, Sharon, but hey, God bless you. I think it's great when people do that.
Well, I'm a little older than you too, and I don't really care anymore. I mean, I'm not there, so why the heck should I have to get my hair cut and colored, I
I
might
hear you.
change my mind, I might.
for me, it's just the kind of fun thing. And
Yeah.
it may not be that, there's any imperative to it because I'm, long to look good or, I'd rather look a different way. I would, of course, geez, I'd love to look like I did when I was 21, and I kind of do, I'm same, body, same hair, not much has really changed. Except everything's kind of like fatter and droopier, but that's
I like the way you say fun. Have fun with it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, my gosh. I mean, have quit coloring my hair, but I always colored my hair. Um, I always colored it like usually, like sometimes I colored it red. This is it's natural. This is the way my hair is.
Oh,
So just this kind of
Oh,
I don't know what you would call it. Anyway, but like dark blonde. But I used to dye it dark, like almost black, and I loved it. When I was a kid, young person, every time I saw myself with my hair this color, I would be shocked because I thought my hair was dark. My picture of me was so different than the picture of me I saw in the mirror.
mhm.
So, I mean, completely different. I didn't see myself like this at all. And so, my imagination and my, stories in my mind about, what was going on never, in fact, even now, I don't associate my physical being, my face or my body with what I see when I look in the mirror. I'm always surprised, like, really, I look like that? Because in my mind, I have a completely different look, and I don't know, is that unusual? I think don't I don't know, don't we kind of all think like that, or am I just
I
uh
it's interesting that it's all going on at once. I have a picture I'd like to show you. Talk about dark hair.
oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
God.
Look at that. My
Yeah.
goodness.
1975.
She was the
Wow.
belle of Brooklyn.
Yeah, yeah. That, you know, that wedding is a good memory. The memory is, well, the marriage wasn't that great, but the memory of us loving each other, when we did.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So,
Then I see myself like in my mind, like 20 years younger than I am. And
mhm.
I'm always surprised when I look in the mirror. So I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I see you as a young dancer. I just see you dancing.
Ah,
I am
And
a dancer. I mean, I've taken ballet and modern dance all my life, and I even danced in a little troupe. How interesting. Did I say
that's
that
how
before?
you may have, and that may be
Oh,
why I think that. But yeah, I always see you as a dancer, just a little dark-haired dancing girl. So, but I mean,
yep.
before we had Zoom and I could see what people look like, I always had pictures of in my mind that
Yeah.
were not
Yeah. And
true.
sometimes I'm kind of close to what they actually look like,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
interesting. But sometimes
it
I'm
is.
way off.
Yeah. No,
And
I'm.
one time I was on with Cliff and Ruby, right? Because I
Uh-huh.
used to hang out with them late
Oh
at night
yeah.
on Pal Talk. And I
Yeah.
thought I thought she was a Jewish girl that had brown hair. She cracked up. I thought because again, our minds can only see
Yep.
and she was Asian and she was look at Cher laughing. Yeah, I mean, she told me and I said, "Oh, because you always want to know what people look like."
Yeah.
Kind of fun actually, but I remember Ruby laughing when I said that to her. Oh, I loved her. She was such a
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. What a sweetheart. Hey, do you remember how we'd have the festive Fridays and people would like
Yes,
play
yes, yes,
songs?
yes, yes.
We just, you know,
Yeah, there's another
yeah, those
girl
were
that
fun times.
I always think about, but I haven't called the girl with the dog. Who is it again, Lynn?
The girl with the dog.
No, there was a girl that was in Texas. You named her, gave me
Oh,
her
Oh
name.
yeah.
dances. Dance a
Dances was
soaring
yeah.
song. The
Yeah, dance,
What?
dogs.
What's her name?
Dances.
dances.
Yeah, where is
Dances
she?
soaring
Oh,
song. She's in
dancing.
She's in
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah,
She got
dances
a
was
little
funny.
place.
Same
A little
place.
she, she
Same
was
place.
great.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
talked,
Yeah.
I talked to dances about a year ago.
I'm
Oh, you
still
did?
friends with her on Facebook. We
Yeah.
chat back and forth quite a bit.
She,
And
she contacts me every now and then.
Yeah, she
yeah.
does. When I first came to Pell Talk, I smoked, and I was kind of a shame thing I had, and so I didn't really, it was something I didn't want to share with everybody. But when I heard her say that she was going to take a break and go have a cigarette, I was like so relieved. It was cool. Anyway,
Isn't that
I
beautiful? That I mean, honestly,
yeah.
we have this need for inclusion, want to feel like we're part of the group and not, not going to be attacked by people. So, what a relief to find a group like this where, we're not going to attack you if you're not a vegan or if you if you smoke or if you drink or whatever it is that you do.
Okay, you
You're
promise
not going
I'll turn my camera on. I'm kidding.
Hey, I put my camera on.
Don't attack me.
Oh my goodness. So I'm sorry, you guys. We're having a whole little conversation on let's see. Um and okay, you guys are talking about birthdays, so we're cool. All right. So anyways, let's take a look at our reading and I think I have it up in the room. I think we ended up, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if we read paragraph 6 last week, but I think it would be good to read paragraph 6 and then move on into 7 if well, of course, that's what we'll do. So would anybody like to read paragraph 6?
Take it.
Thank you, Rafi.
If healing is an invitation to God to enter into his kingdom, what difference does it make how the invitation is written? Oh, I get that. Does the paper matter, or the ink, or the pen, or is it he who writes that gives the invitation? God comes to those who would restore his world, for they have found the way to call to him. If any two are joined, he must be there. It does not matter what their purpose is, but they must share it wholly to succeed. It is impossible to share a goal not blessed by Christ, for what is unseen through his eyes is too fragmented to be meaningful. Boy, that strikes such a chord. Because it really doesn't matter what you do for a living, what city you live in, where you go, what you do, all of that stuff is got nothing to do with the truth of our beingness, with the truth of our infinite self. The point is to wake up to it, and how you do it the best you can.
Yeah, thank you, Rafi. Yeah, what a beautiful, thought this is, that the healing is an invitation to God to enter into his kingdom. So what is that? You're the kingdom of God. I'm the kingdom of God. We are God's kingdom. So to enter into God's kingdom, it doesn't matter how the invite comes, who it comes from, how we get it, what it looks like. It doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that we choose to come together. We choose to restore the kingdom. We choose, even if we don't know it, even if if we're not aware, we've never even thought about this in our lives, our goal is still always the same. It doesn't matter what our situation is as beings in the planet, humans or whatever. That doesn't matter. What matters is we're here and uh, we are part of God's kingdom that have forgotten what we are. So if all it is that we've forgotten what we are, then the thing that we need to remind us is that call that comes from the brother, the call that comes from our connection, the call that comes from meeting someone and feeling a spark, or hearing a name and having your ears perk up, or having a thought, or hearing a song, or whatever it is that brings you into the presence of another human, another person. And when we do that, then the Christ is here, right now with us, because that was the spark. That's the thing that called to us. So it doesn't matter if we got together to, I'm paying for my groceries and you're checking me out, or I'm I don't know what I'm doing, whatever I'm doing right here, right now with you guys. We're here together for that very purpose. And wow, what a beautiful gift this is. And so because we are doing it, then Christ is here. Christ is here right now. Whatever you want to call it, if you want to say Jesus is here, God is here, Christ is here in us, because wherever two or more of us are joined together, he is there with us now. Anyway, wow, that's so beautiful. Cindy, please go ahead.
So it reminded it's content. It's like that's what matters, is what is inside each of us, or anyway. It reminded me of how the packages, how we all, with gifts, how they're all wrapped differently, and it really doesn't matter, because the content, you could say, could be all the same. So I kind of connected that to that paragraph, but it might be a stretch. I don't know.
Oh, no, I think that's perfect. Because, I mean, that's what you're talking about. The packaging, that last line he says, it's what is uneven through his eyes is too fragmented to be meaningful. That's what we're talking about. The packages are the little fragments of the different beings who think that they're separate. And so Christ sees us as whole. He doesn't see us as separate packages. He sees us as one thing. And we can learn to see ourselves that way too, and not fragmented like that.
Hmm. That's how we got our name, gather. Whenever two or more are gathered, he's in the midst.
Yep. And that is the truth. And the thing that's so beautiful about that is when we broke up gather for a while and went over to awakening together, and we then we broke away from awakening together and came back and started gather, and we were talking about what should we call it? Should we call it gather? What should we call it? And I did the I Ching, which some of you probably all know what the I Ching is. You do it with coins or you do it with um, sticks, but I did the I Ching, and the symbol that came up was the gathering. And so I said, oh, the gathering, I guess gather is what it is. So beautiful. Karen, please go ahead.
Yes, I love what everyone's sharing. And I like the point that Lynn made, that it could be the person who's, packing your groceries. It could be the person at the bank. It doesn't matter. Every encounter can be a holy encounter. And just remembering that, and just a smile sometimes is enough, just seeing someone and smiling at them, just being that presence, and it's just remembering, and yeah, I just love this. I'm just listening and just enjoying the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, because when you smile at them in the grocery store, you're entering into God's kingdom. It's just what he's talking about here. You're entering into the kingdom when you choose to join. So anybody else have anything on this paragraph? Let's move on to 7 then. So who would like to read paragraph 7?
I will.
Thank you.
As true religion heals, so must true psychotherapy be religious. But both have many forms because no good teacher uses one approach to every pupil. That's true. On the contrary, he listens patiently to each one and lets him formulate his own curriculum, not the curriculum's goal, but how he can best reach the aim it sets for him. Perhaps the teacher does not think of God as part of teaching. Perhaps the psychotherapist does not understand the healing comes from God. They can succeed where many who believe they have found God will fail. Yeah, you always meet the person where they are. Yes. That's it.
Thank
So-
you, Doug.
So that's interesting that he used the word religious. What do you think he meant exactly by that?
He's using religious as it's like a science, religion has rules and laws, and that's what he's saying. There are laws
Okay.
that actually help us find where we're going.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. Yeah, and so religion, if it heals, then psychotherapy must be a religion. Psychotherapy must be a religion if it heals. Anything that heals is true religion. So if so and it could be something different for like where Dove said, each person may have a different form of treatment because of what they need personally. So yeah, Rafi, please go ahead.
It's interesting because we're all teachers, and if you look at the word guru, Guru, so we are our own gurus. And one of the other thing is that Lester Levinson said it's a good thing to share the method.
I love that. Thank you, Rafi. Yeah, yeah. And I was just going to ask you, and you don't have to go into any detail or anything, but have you ever had somebody, when you've said to them, would you like to let that go? Have them say, hell no, I don't want to let it go. What are you asking me that for?
No, nobody has ever said that. And because of whatever preceded it, led to the point where they instinctively knew that letting it go was a good idea. And when they asked me about it, and I said, and I say, well, could you, what is that feeling? Is that a feeling of insecurity, or you feel out of control? And they said, well, it's this. I said, well, it's just a feeling. Can you just let it be there? And then I'll just allow it to leave, allow it to go. And there's that pause while they digest that. And then they go, yeah. And it does. That means they were ready for it.
I love that. Yeah. I kind of thought so, that I can just remember myself in times when I've been kind of psychotic, that any kind of intelligent thought anybody tried to mention to me, I rejected without any sort of qualms, like screw you, don't analyze me. But I didn't get into a conversation with someone like you about that kind of stuff, because more than likely I would have been a lot more receptive at the time. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Rafi. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Dove. I love what Rafi shared, and a couple reasons why. I like that he said that we share what works for us. We share what works for us. We don't try to shove it down someone's throat, like, and the other thing that I like that he shares, just when he shares his method of release, it's so simple and clear. And also, Rafi is such a good example of what he's teaching. So I see from Rafi that it's working for him. And that's what attracts me to it. When I see that it's actually working for someone and they're actually practicing what they're preaching, it actually is attractive to me, so that's very, very, I think, beautiful. And I also love what Dove shared about meeting the patient where he is. And that's my whole life. I think that is so important. Every aspect of my life is meeting someone where they're at, and that's the only way I can meet myself where I'm at. And I like where he says here about, he says, on the contrary, he listens patiently to each one and lets him formulate his own curriculum, not the curriculum's goal, but how he can best reach the aim it sets for him. Nobody can actually tell me how to fix my life. I remember when I was growing up, my dad used to say to me, if I could put my brain in your brain and just you could learn the lessons I learned, he always wanted to prevent me from getting hurt. And I would say, Dad, I have to learn through my own mistakes. We all have to learn through our mistakes. Of course, a father, a parent doesn't want to see their child hurt, right? But that's how we have to learn, right? And so I love that we have the answers inside and allowing us to find that answer within. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah, I love that too. And yeah, we don't want to see anybody get hurt unless, we really don't like them. So, but that's too the belief that you can be hurt. The idea that people can be harmed is one of the biggest misconceptions of I mean anybody. We just think that. We think that there are people that are that are weak and that are small and they can be hurt and they can be damaged. And so we have to either protect them or be afraid of them because we think they're going to try to hurt us. We go through a lot of uh, misconceptions about what our brothers are, and our misconceptions of what we are as well. So the idea is really turning you around to where you're looking at your brother the way God sees them. The way that God sees them is that they're perfect and his beloved children, and that's, if we could come to be able to see our brothers that same way and see ourselves that same way, because that's the other thing. We don't want to see ourselves that way. We want to see ourselves as being the home of evil, darkness, and sin. And so this whole situation that comes from true psychotherapy will come to the realization of me being the truth of what I am and you being the truth of what you are, and we together being the healed son of God, because that's what the truth and reality is. So enough of that rambling. Cindy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. When I'm hurt, it's because I'm coming from the wrong premise, and thinking that you said I'm the home of I forget what you said, evil something.
Evil, darkness, and sin.
Sounds like a rock and roll band, doesn't it? But anyway, uh, uh, um, if my premise is correct, if I know that I am truly loved and truly one with God, then there's nothing that is vulnerable to being hurt. So I guess that's what we're aiming for is that learning, but what we truly are, and psychotherapy is there to help us correct our wrong idea of what we are. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have anything on this paragraph? Let's move on to paragraph 8. Who would like to read paragraph 8? How about I'll read paragraph 8. All right, here we go. What must the teacher do to ensure learning? What must the therapist do to bring healing about? Only one thing, the same requirement salvation asks of everyone. Each one must share one goal with someone else, and in so doing, lose all sense of separate interests. Only by doing this is it possible to transcend the narrow boundaries the ego would impose upon the self. Only by doing this can teacher and pupil, therapist and patient, you and I accept atonement and learn to give it as it was received. So what is the one thing that we're asked to do? What is a teacher of God? A teacher of God is someone who has seen that his interests and his brothers are not different, that our interests are the same. That's the same thing this is saying. Each one must share a goal with someone else, and in so doing, lose all sense of separate interest, all sense of separate interest. That's, I believe, honestly, what we're attempting to do here. When we come together and we're joining together in reading and studying and coming to some understanding about this course and the freedom that comes from practicing the course and becoming clear in what we truly are and what our brother really is, that is my goal when I come here to join with you guys. And I believe that it's your goal too. And so, here we are doing this very thing, uh, sharing our goal and then giving up all sense of separate interests. And only by doing this can we transcend the narrow boundaries the ego would impose upon the self. Only by doing this can we, teacher and pupil, therapist and patient, you and I, accept atonement and learn to give it as it was received. So, I mean, it seems simple, but what I think it requires is that we give up all sense of differences between each other and all ideas or thoughts that that there are some people who are farther along than other people. There are some people who are more sensitive than other people. There are some people who are more uh, uh, intellectual than others, more clinical than others, more this, more that. We're looking at each other even in this group and saying, "Oh, well, you know more about this than I do. You've been around here longer. You knew this. We do it to each other. We um emphasize the differences between us, and this is why, as much as, maybe like we're telling stories about our lives or whatever, a lot of times we'll tell things that will help to bring about a connection, that we realize and remember that we are the same, that we're not different from each other. And so this connection that comes about when we join together and discuss these teachings and these lessons, um, it's really here to make a bridge for us to accept together the atonement, because I can't accept it by myself. And we have to, we can only accept it as we are given it, which is we're given it all at the same time. We all have the same thing. We're all the same. Is there another way I can say that? We're all the same.
Everything happens perfectly.
Exactly. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. That was so beautifully said. And the first thing that came to my mind when you said that to give up all sense of differences, yes, that is the ultimate goal. But also for me, and I think that's what for all of us, is to look at where I'm not, look at where I'm seeing differences, and to ask Holy Spirit to help me see this differently, to notice when I'm excluding, to notice when I'm not seeing my brother as the same, and so also what I also came to my mind was what Ken Wapnick says. Ken Wapnick says that we cannot comprehend oneness. He makes that very clear. And he says that the reflection of oneness here is that we have the same interest. That is the reflection of oneness here. And that's how we experience oneness here, is recognizing that we have the same interest. We all have the same interest of awakening from the stream of separation. And Ken says the natural state of mind is oneness. So it's always that. And so I just love this. It's the only one thing, the same requirement salvation asks of everyone each one must share one goal with someone else, and in so doing, lose all sense of separate interests. When I can see my brother has, we're all fighting a hard battle here. We're all going through the same thing. You know what? My daughter was here the other day. It was so that's the beauty of sometimes, looking for the silver lining in everything, and this situation that I'm in right now with recovering from surgery. I get to get closer relationships with people in my life, including my daughter. So when she comes here, we get to have a lot of intimate conversation and time together. And bonus, I got my hair colored too. So that was nice. But she's going through a lot of stuff. And in the past, I used to judge her. I used to judge my daughter because like she was always going through something. It never ended. It was a never ending cycle. And I used to get so frustrated with her. And, like, when are you going to learn your lesson? Like, what's it going to take? You're 42 years old and you're still getting fines. Like, what the? So yesterday she shared with me all the stuff she's going through and all these fines that they threw at her that she didn't pay and all this craziness. And all I had was love for her, and compassion for her. And we spoke and we talked, but what can I do to help? It's like just seeing her as myself and seeing her as just calling for love. And so that's the difference today. That's what we're asked to do, because the judgment never worked. It was always, being that mother and daughter. And no, it's not that anymore. I don't even see her as my daughter anymore. I see her as myself. I see her as my equal. And that's the miracle. Thank you.
Very
Wow.
well shared. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Karen, that's beautiful. It makes me cry. It really is.
Yeah, it's so cool and so beautiful because, as a parent, you tend to, think, project your children out that, they're going to have this life and they're going to be this way and do this thing. And, I am thanking God that my children were not the disappointments to me that I was to my mom. Because I don't my poor mother, I don't know how she survived me because I was very wild when I was young. And I haven't really changed in my mind, but yeah, when you recognize that, they're just here trying to make it just like you are. There's no difference. We're all the same. And what a gift that is. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind Karen. Oh, she left. Bye, Karen.
Oh, I'm sure she's still there.
Okay, I just wanted to remind her that her daughter taught her the lesson that she needed to learn. And that was not coming from judgment, but coming from love and compassion. And her daughter was there to teach her that. And we're all teachers, we're all teaching each other. Karen, did you hear that? Okay. Your daughter was your teacher, just like you're her teacher. And it couldn't have worked out more perfectly. Way to go.
I love it.
Well said, Rafi.
I agree. Thank you, Rafi. That's why he says that to give and to receive. He says at the very end, only by doing this can teacher and pupil, therapist and patient, you and I accept and learn to give it as it was received. Amen.
Yeah, beautiful. Anybody else have anything to share on this paragraph?
Yeah, I just want to throw in there with um
Cindy, did we lose you? Oh, you're muted, Cindy.
oh, that's okay. Did you hear anything?
No,
No.
Okay, I was just saying as a parent, as I got so touched by what Karen said was um um in order for us to be the same and see, everybody as the same, as parents, we have to let go of that specialness that we hold our children in. And that can take a while. It's probably the strongest tie that a person has is with their child. So anyway, that's what I'm just going through that whole thing with my children, my grandchildren, and trying to let them be them and appreciate them, and yeah, let see them as the same. And sometimes it's not that easy. Anyway, I appreciate what you said, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Yeah. And Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Cindy. Yes. And then the other thought that comes to my mind is that there's a fine line that I've learned. There's a fine line between helping and enabling my child, because I used to enable her. I used to want to fix her. I used to pay her fines off. I used to pay her car insurance. I used to do everything to just prevent her from getting hurt. I thought I could save her. I would stop anything that will go wrong in her life. And I don't do that anymore. She has to fall sometimes to pick herself up. But I do ask, what is the most truly helpful? How can I be helpful? What can be truly helpful? Sometimes it is helpful to help her pay for something. Other times it's enabling. And I've learned how to distinguish that. I've learned that I'm not fixing her. I'm actually just helping her. She needs a little help right now. That's all. I'm not fixing her. There's a big difference. And I'm so grateful for that. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Karen. And yeah, the way that you said that, it really made me think about how it is that, you mentioned enabling, which is something that, we all do it to some extent. And in fact, thank God we do, or else they might not be able to do some of the things that they really need to do. But also to recognize that I know this is weird language, but that they're sovereign humans also, that they are equally the Holy Son of God, equally the Christ, that their mind is equally one with God. And so, when we look at them and we think, they're small and pitiful and they need my help and they'll never make it without me. I mean, well, first off, as a parent, that's the thing that you really want to raise your children to be independent so that they can get along without you and that they can be equal with you and not be children their whole lives. That's something that, we worry about a lot is, making sure that they're able to be self-sufficient. I mean, you raise your kids so that they won't be dependent on you forever. But then also to recognize that, yeah, there are times that they may need some help and you may need to help them too. That, not, I find myself a lot of times trying to help my kids when they really don't need my help. They really can do it on their own, and they really are able to to negotiate the world without me being there, guiding their little hands all the way when they're 40 years old. But sometimes you do. Sometimes you do too. And there's sometimes, I mean, my daughter's about that same age, and sometimes we'll just sit next to each other, and it'd be like, she's almost like sitting in my lap. I feel like, I'm just holding my baby, even though, she's a grown woman, kids of her own. It's still, you still have that relationship. Anyway, enough of that. Cindy, please go ahead.
I just wanted to say what we're talking about is learning and practicing discernment. And like Karen said, she checks in and asks, what's the best thing? How can I be most helpful? And that's what we have to do is, keep checking in and use discernment. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Cindy. So let's look at paragraph 8, paragraph 9. Who'd like to read paragraph 9? Yeah. Yeah.
I will.
Thank you.
Communion is impossible alone. No one who stands apart can receive Christ's vision. It is held out to him, but he cannot hold out his hand to receive it. Let him be still and recognize his brother's need in his own, and let him then meet his brother's need as his, and see that they are met as one, for such they are. What is religion but an aid in helping him to see that this is so? And what is psychotherapy except a help in just this same direction? It is the goal that makes these processes the same, for they are one in purpose and must thus be one in means. Reminds me of Brooklyn's always saying, we're walking each other home.
Right.
Yeah.
And that
And,
first sentence, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. Just that first sentence, let me see if I can find it. Communion, well, I can't, let's see. Sorry, you guys. Communication is impossible. You know, I haven't really thought that much about that, but it's such an obvious statement. And you know what's interesting is how he uses the word alone, and then he uses the word one, which they're so close, but yet they're so opposite each other. So I thought that was just an interesting thing I noticed. So anyway.
Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, and what is he really saying here? That that nothing is possible alone. We can't exist without each other. And so even if we think that there's some brother we prefer not to be around or whatever, that is not allowable. You know, the fact is that, you know, let him be still and recognize his brother's need is his own. That just really struck me, that sentence, because it then reminds me of Marshall Rosenberg and the nonviolent communication, where that the main basis for our ability to communicate and to be equal in our communications is the concept of the belief in our shared need, that we all share the same needs. And so, you know, it's interesting that, you know, Jesus is saying that. Let him then meet his brother's need see his brother's need as his own. Recognize his brother's need as his own, and let him then meet his brother's need as his, and see that they are met as one, for such they are. That's, I mean, that concept of shared needs is the thing that we can use in this world to recognize our oneness. And Karen, please go ahead.
Exactly, Lynn. Yes. And also it reminds me of what Rafi said earlier when he said that, you know, my daughter was there to show me myself, basically to teach me a lesson and not to judge. You know, we're teaching each other and everything is a projection. So what this also reminds me of here, because he does mention this again in a different way, but very similar in the totality of the kingdom. He says, when a brother acts insanely, he is offering you an opportunity to bless him. His need is yours. His need is yours. You need the blessing you can offer him. There is no way for you to have it except by giving it. This is the law of God, and it has no exceptions. What you deny, you lack, not because it is lacking, but because you have denied it in another and are therefore not aware of it in yourself. So if I'm seeing my brother as anything other than the perfect Christ through Christ's vision, then I am seeing lack in myself. I am seeing only what is projecting from my own mind. So I'm giving what I'm it's to give and to receive are one. It can be no other way. So his need is mine. And that's exactly what Lynn said, that is how we see that we have the same interest, because we do. Everything is here to teach us about ourselves and to teach us to get closer to that awareness of perfect oneness. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Cindy, please go ahead.
So this is going to sound kind of goofy, but I just thought that if I can see myself as I go out into the world as like a mother hen wanting to, protect and shelter all the little chicks, if I can have that mindset, what a better perspective to have to, as we go out there in the world and see everybody as just an innocent little chick that I want to protect because they are my interest, and they're my own. So I don't know, that was kind of just something I flashed on. Anyway.
I love that, Cindy. That's so beautiful, and I feel the same way. And what you just made me think of is just cracking me up. I don't know if anybody saw Drew Barrymore interviewing Kamala Harris. Okay, so did anybody see that or okay? Well,
No.
people are making fun of it like crazy, and it's really pissing me off because it was the sweetest thing ever. Drew Barrymore, she's such a innocent person, so beautiful and perfect. And so she's interviewing Kamala Harris, and she says, I think what America needs is a big hug and a mom who loves them. And she's looking at Kamala Harris, and I don't remember exactly what she was saying, but you could be America's mom and give us all a big hug, and we could all feel that love together. I don't
Wow.
that's not exactly what she said, but it was
Yeah.
like that. And it was the sweetest thing ever. It had to have been, and I'm sure Vice President Harris did not take this in any kind of a condescending way. I think she recognized really that what Drew was saying is we need to feel loved, and and she was equating Vice President Harris with someone who could show America what it is to be loved, to have a mother figure who really loves them. Anyway, I thought it was very sweet. But anyway, what you said just made me
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
because that's how I am too. I'm like the mom, I'm out there, I'm mothering everybody in every way.
Yeah, you are. And it's beautiful. Very beautiful.
Just my,
I'm glad you are.
But we're all doing that. We're all doing that for each other.
Yeah.
Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, Lynn, what you're doing and what Drew Barrymore was suggesting is what the divine presence does for us all the time.
Yeah.
That
Beautiful.
that divine guidance, that divine providing, that divine protection. I mean, if you instinctively, if you feel that instinctively, where is that coming from? That ain't coming from some ego. You ain't doing it to show, look how good I am. It's coming from it's coming from that natural place, and that's a reflection of the divine presence within us. So, could it be more perfect? I don't think so.
Thank you, Rafi.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep, the Divine Mother, that's what
Hot
the world
cluck.
needs now. That really,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
love of the mother.
Yeah.
So, and that's, we talk about that a lot in the Age of the Heart. There's a lot of discussion about the Divine Mother, and a lot of other groups too are talking about that a lot as well. And yeah, it's what we all need.
And it's up to us to bring it. It's up to us to bring her, the Divine Mother. That's, we bring light. That's what, that song you were playing, Higher Love. I was like, bring me a higher love. And I was thinking, no, we bring the higher love with us. Anyway.
Wasn't Mother Teresa the perfect example of that?
Yeah.
She was. And they vilified her. They said terrible things about Mother Teresa, and she was saving millions of children.
She took money from the mafia and she was admonished for that. And she says, I don't care where the money comes from. I just care about what I'm going to do with it to help people.
Yep.
Thought
And
that was
yeah,
pretty.
exactly. I love that. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, I have to just join in with what Cindy's saying about you, Lynn, because I see you as a matriarch of of Gather. I see you as the matriarch, and I see you as that loving, just seeing everyone and wanting to help everyone, wanting to guide you get everybody set up for I mean, you're in charge of everything here, and everything you do it with love. And I heard you sharing recently about you had a correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't hear the whole conversation, but you said, I think that you had a dream that you were Jesus's grandmother or something.
It wasn't a dream. It was like a vision. It was
Yeah.
a
Please
meditation.
share. Yeah, please share.
Yeah, that I was at a spiritual retreat center and we were meditating, really beautiful place in California. We were meditating and in this as I was meditating, I actually saw like Mary and Jesus when he was a little boy, little like toddler, watched him playing, watched them interacting, and then I saw as he grew older what kind of a person he was and what kind of and how he he did evidence that Christ nature. You could just see it in him. And I saw him, like, in this whole thing of him being a grown man, and then the whole watching Mary at the crucifixion, and seeing her and my daughter and my grandson in this like ultra tragic situation, and just feeling so much love from all of it. It was amazing this happened to me. And I mean, I saw all of this, and it was not in a very long time. It was very quick. Um, and when we came out of the meditation, I said, this is what happened. This is what I saw. And then they're like, oh, you must have been Saint Anne, and no, I don't think I but I would think I was there. I could see it all. Like it was not the story that we read about, but just a real little boy and a real family. It was amazing. Anyway,
Well, that just confirms that what the Course says, that there is no time. And, like he says in, I think, the clarification of terms, that you were there with me when I rose. We all rose together. So there is no time, and it doesn't matter when you experience it. It's all happening at the same time. So you were in the consciousness of the Christ consciousness of being there in that moment now, you
uh,
know?
yeah, exactly.
That,
That's what I think
yeah,
too. I think
exactly.
I just was seeing that whole scenario and
Beautiful.
from from the distance, but the relationship, because I felt the motherly, grandmotherly relationship, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
it was
that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So beautiful. And that's how I see you. So it's exactly it. It's beautiful. Such a gift. You're such a gift, Lynn,
well, thank you.
to all of us. Yeah.
I
You know,
say
I know
amen
that.
to that.
I do know that. So it's not, I'm not like, oh no, not me. I know that. That's my nature. So I couldn't be anything else. I guess that I couldn't be anything else, so I can't take credit for it. It just is how I am.
You're playing your part perfectly.
That's what I'm here for. All right. So does anybody have anything else on this paragraph? This idea that it's the goal that makes what we're doing. No matter how it is that we express the goal, no matter how it is that we see the goal, is still the same goal, and that's what brings us all together. And that's why we're here now in the same place. Is, you know, we have a goal, and we all have agreed, whether we know what it is or not. All right. Are we ready to move to the next section then? Okie dokie. Here we go. Section 3, the role of the psychotherapist. Oh, this is cool. This will be good. Who wants to read the first paragraph of this? Karen, please go ahead.
The role of psychotherapist. The psychotherapist is a leader in the sense that he walks slightly ahead of the patient and helps him to avoid a few of the pitfalls along the road by seeing them first. Ideally, he is also a follower, for the one should walk ahead of him. For one, capital O, should walk ahead of him to give him light to see. Without this one, both will merely stumble blindly onto nowhere. It is, however, impossible that this one be wholly absent if the goal is healing. He may, however, not be recognized. And so the little light that can be, the little light that can be then accepted is all there is to light the way to truth. And so the little light that can be then accepted is all there is to light the way to truth. Yes. I think for me, what's coming to me through this is really remembering the one, the capital O, inner guide that is the one that walks with me, the one that I will stumble blindly onto nowhere if I don't listen for that voice. If I think I know what my patient needs, which is my brother, if I think I know the answer on my own, I don't even know my own best interests, is what the course is teaching us. How can I know my brother's best interests? I need to really step back and to be the follower of the inner voice, so I can lead through him. And that's what I get from this. And that's beautiful for me. Thank you.
So let me ask the question here, because I see that folks are thinking something here. Who is the psychotherapist? And who is the patient? And what is he talking to us about? Because it seems to me that the reason that he's even mentioning this or talking about it in this way is that he expects us to take on this role as a psychotherapist on some level. That he expects us, and also that we also are a patient on some level. And that the key being that we follow the one who knows. And so, maybe at some point I'm the psychotherapist because, I'm taking on that role. But if I think that I'm the one that's in charge and that knows the meaning of things, then we're just going to be all blindly stumbling. And so whichever one of us is taking the lead in whatever situation, we must be sure that we are asking for that guidance from the one, the capital one, who knows, and that even in simple little things, it doesn't matter what the situation is. if you looked at every situation that comes up between you and another person, there's always that relationship going on. It's always the leader follower, psychotherapist, patient. That's always what's happening. And the key is to be sure that we ask the one who knows before we give advice, or before we share our thoughts or ideas or feelings about things, because otherwise we can make some pretty big mistakes. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly beautifully said. And we are both. And we are here to heal our minds. And that's why he says that in sentence 4, that it is, however, impossible that this one be wholly absent if the goal is healing. He may, however, not be recognized. And so the little light that can then and so the little light that can be then accepted is all there is to light the way to truth. So the goal is healing the mind. That's it. The role of the psychotherapist is to heal his own mind. And once I heal my own mind, I can see clearly to help someone else. And it's to give and to receive our one. We're each giving and receiving to each other the same. Thank you.
Bingo.
You got anything to say about that, Dove?
No, this is like my favorite paragraph in the pamphlet, because it really, for me, that is the truth. The psychotherapist has some skills. That's why it says he's there to help the patient from falling into the pitfalls along the road, but he also has to be aware that spirit is with him, and that's trust. That's what trust is about. To know that the right words are going to come through you. You know, I am among the ministers of God. Let me step back and let him lead the way. So you're wearing two hats, but the main thing is, as Karen pointed out, it's the goal and the purpose of coming together that actually ensures that spirit is with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if we do recognize that spirit is with us, then we can be shown with much more clarity. But he's saying if we don't recognize it, then we're gonna be just having like a little flashlight in a big dark cave. Like a little pen light. um, so uh, so let's look at paragraph 2 then. Would anybody like to read paragraph 2?
I'll take it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Healing is limited by the limitations of the psychotherapist, as it is limited by those of the patient. The aim of the process, therefore, is to transcend these limits. Neither can do this alone, but when they join, the potentiality for transcending all limitations has been given them. So it's my willingness really to join. We are of one will. No one's better than another. We are equal, and that idea of equality. To see my brother as myself, I think that is what is being discussed here. Now, the extent of their success depends on how much of this potentiality they're willing to use. And the extent of the success depends on how much of this potentiality they're willing to use. A willingness may come from either one at the beginning. And yeah, the word willingness is a big word. Willingness is to really as Rafi would say, to really let go and let God. You're not the doer. You're just not the doer. The willingness may come from either one at the beginning, and as the other shares it, it will grow. Progress becomes a matter of decision. It can reach almost to heaven or go no further than a step or two from hell. So the way I see things is I always know that good is going to come from it. That the purpose is what brings the good. And if your purpose is pure, that's what healing is.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dove. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful way of seeing it. And the purity of the purpose is really assured if you are just aware of the goal and that you, whatever the goal is, that you share it. You don't even really have to know, all the details, just that you share that same goal. And that is the perfection and the purity of it. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I got from this is a level of determination. How determined am I to wake up? How determined am I? And that determination, that for if once we dedicate ourselves to something, once we make that commitment and we make it with enthusiasm, and we know that that's the only real thing that I'm here for. The rest of the stuff, the divine presence will come in and feed that. We'll find ourselves being in situations, or I have found myself in situations where all of a sudden there's an awakening, a clarity, an insight that I didn't see before. And it all came from how dedicated am I to the main purpose. It's the only, and I looked at the main purpose, that's the only purpose. The only purpose that I'm here is to remember what I truly am, have always been, will always be. And all of this other mind stuff, it's just stuff I need to get out of the way, so to get clear as to that. And my level of determination will, how fast it's going to happen. Now, a lot of the masters say, you don't make it happen. It happens by itself. The divine presence, God, whatever you want to call it, comes in and takes you the rest of the way. But if you don't have the determination in the first place, that's going to take like forever. And there's going to be a lot of stuff. And on the way, if you decide, well, what I really want to do is make this life better. Well, if you're making this life better, you're trying to improve the dream. And that ain't dedication to the main purpose. I love how this thing is worded, because that's what reminded me of all of that I just shared.
Thank you, Rafi. That's so, yeah, you cannot deny that logic. Not at all. It's perfect. Karen, please go ahead.
Wow, such great sharing. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Rafi. I love what you just shared. The determination, we have that determination to wake up, knowing that this is why we're here. The healing of God's sons is all the world is for. He tells us in the course, we are here to heal our minds through forgiveness. That is the purpose, through the Holy Spirit, inner teacher, inner guide, whoever your teacher is. And I love what Dove shared, reminding that all things work together for good, except in the ego's judgment. So it's all working together. Everything's happening perfectly, except when I judge it. When I start to judge it and question it and think that I know better, or think that it should be happening this way, or that's not right, or that's not fair, then I get myself into trouble. But just trusting that this is all here to teach me, and what am I to learn here? And knowing that because I've learned so many, my biggest lessons, and I think we all can say this, that we've learned is the hardest ones, where it was the most difficult lessons we've learned in life, where we learned the most. And that's what I feel is happening in my life right now. And I know that there's a blessing. There's a blessing. And it's for me. It's for my healing. So I trust that. Has a lot of trust comes in with that. So thank you. This is just so inspiring what everyone's sharing. It's really, really
Well said, Karen. Thank you.
it's everything that's being said is so helpful tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, and everything you say is so helpful. It's, that's what we're doing here. So we come here to join together to wind each other up and make sure that we're all here in the same place, sharing in this same love. And wow, I'm kind of speechless about how beautiful it is. You just keep saying it over and over, but you can never really say the words that really say what's going on here. So are we done with this paragraph? I think Rafi pretty well wrapped it up for us. So let's look at paragraph 3. And would anybody like to read paragraph 3? We have about 10 more minutes, so we've got time to get through this one. See. Oh gosh, we only have 2 more paragraphs. How about if I read 3? Maybe we'll get through all of it tonight. Who knows? It is quite possible for the psychotherapy to seem to fail. It is even possible for the result to look like retrogression. But in the end, there must be some success. One asks for help. Another hears and tries to answer in the form of help. This is the formula for salvation and must heal. Wow. So that's pretty simple. One asks for help. Another hears and tries to answer in the form of help. This is the formula for salvation and must heal. Divided goals alone can interfere with perfect healing. One wholly egoless therapist could heal the world without a word, merely by being there. No one needs see him or talk to him or even know of his existence. His simple presence is enough to heal. And so this is pretty mind-blowing, actually. But it's the same thing. How many teachers of God are needed? There's only one, and one wholly egoless therapist could heal the world. Well, there is one wholly egoless therapist. Jesus, or the Holy Spirit, that one being that we acknowledge as being the one that we would call associated with the Christ. That mind has already healed the entire sonship. That mind has already healed everything, because he accepted the atonement for himself and accepted it for all of us. So even at the moment that occurred, it was like it started this generator that just generate waves out into the sonship. And those waves hit me, and the waves hit you, and the waves hit all of us at some point, and maybe over and over and over again through our lifetimes. We've been hit by these waves that come from this one perfect Christ mind that is reaching out to us. And so we don't even know, he doesn't have to say a word. We would not have to have even heard or known about it. We're being affected by it, in all ways at all times. And so even though it may seem like we're in retrograde, like somehow or the other, we're things seem to be going wrong or backwards. We seem to have forgotten. We seem to fall down the rabbit hole or fall down in the well. We dig ourselves back up out and we think, I'm not going to fall down there again. And then the next thing you know, we're down in there again. But the whole time there is no well. We never fell down a rabbit hole because there is no rabbit hole and there is no rabbit. All there is this imaginary story that we think has happened to us. And so every time we ask for help, every time another answers with help, that help becomes the total salvation for everything. And because we join in that one mind that is the salvation of the healing of the world. Anybody have any other thoughts about that or any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I just want to mention that's the first time I ever saw the word formula, which is like a kind of a strange word to find in A Course in Miracles, because you don't really look at things as happening formula. But when he says it, of course, it makes perfect sense. There's a call for love, and there's someone there who hears the call for love. And that's all that is necessary. It's a formula. And the word form is in there too. I mean, for some reason, I never thought of A Course in Miracles in any way being a formula. But I guess it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a recipe, it's a formula, it's instructions, it's how to do it. So yeah, I love that. The formula. I don't think I ever thought of that either, the formula for salvation. But it is one asks for help, another hears and tries to answer in the form of help. That's it. Love and a call for love. That's the formula. Karen, go ahead, please.
Well, that's interesting, though, that you asked that question, because it's formula is only mentioned 3 times in the course. 3 times.
Really?
So it's mentioned in lesson 140. He merely had a dream that he was sick, and in the dream he found a magic formula to make him well. That's lesson 140. Only salvation can be said to cure. And then in lesson 297, lesson 297 is forgiveness is the only gift I give, and this is salvation's simple formula.
So, and so in all 3, the word salvation is there.
Isn't that interesting?
All 3. And,
yeah.
And lesson 40 says only salvation can be said to cure.
Yeah.
When you look at what he's saying, that goes right along whenever 2 or more share the same purpose. So we're coming together, and we see that, remember, a teacher of God is someone who sees that their interest and another's interest is the same interest. Well, that's the formula. Somebody calls for love, calls for help, and someone is there and sends it in any form that's possible.
Beautiful. And this forgiveness is the only gift I give. I'm just going to read this first paragraph because it's so perfect. He says, forgiveness is the only gift I give because it is the only gift I want. And everything I give myself. This is salvation's simple formula. And I, who would be saved, would make it mine to be the way I live within a world that needs salvation. And that will be saved as I accept the atonement for myself. Wow.
That's a big aha from me personally. Karen, can I ask you a question? It's kind of a triv question. Was it you on the phone with me a day or 2 ago and was talking about that Ken Wapnick says if you're just kind to everyone, you don't need the fancy schmancy metaphysics.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the real words you used? Because fancy schmancy is not the real word. Do you remember the real words you used? Or no?
I'm pretty sure he did say fancy schmancy.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I thought, okay, all right, then. Very good. Then that as long as that's it, that's it. Thank you.
I mean, he's used other words, but he has used that too. He has
Okay.
used fancy schmancy.
Yeah.
The
Okay. Thank
the other thing I wanted to point out in this paragraph is where he says that, where is it? About one holy, egoless therapist could heal the world without a word, merely by being there. No one needs see him or talk to him or even know of his existence. His simple presence is enough to heal. And we were talking about this last week, just being that holy, egoless presence, being that space and just allow everything to be exactly as they are. Like that's how I felt with my daughter, just being that space and just letting her like tell me everything that's going on and just being that space where there's no judgment, there's no ego. It's just only like Dove said, there's only love or a call for love. And that can be in every situation, in every single moment of every single day. It's beautiful. Thank you.
That is beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what is the lesson that the third one is about forgiveness?
The third one was lesson 297. Forgiveness is the only gift I give.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and you just made me think when you were reading this, and our time is just about up, but I was just going to say, you were just making me think when you were reading this, remember that movie with Peter Sellers called Being There?
Yes, one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, one holy egoless therapist could heal the world without a word, merely by being there.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And that's what he was. He was just being there, and he wasn't he wasn't doing anything, and everybody thought he was doing all sorts of things and thought he was the wisest man that ever was, and he was just being there.
Stanley Gardner.
Yeah. Chauncey.
Chance. Okay.
No, actually his name was Chance. His name was Chance the gardener, but she thought he said Chauncey.
Oh,
Right.
So,
And was it Shirley MacLaine in there too?
Shirley MacLaine, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
what's funny about it, everybody thought it was funny when I saw it. I saw it when I was young, and I wasn't getting it. And now I probably would love it, because he's just what I mean by not getting it. It's just being here. There's nothing else.
Well, he did a thing with her, and he says, "I just like to watch." I guess that's what people thought was funny.
There was a lot of things that were very funny
I
about
just
it,
like to watch.
but people assumed from what he said and what he was really meaning. I mean, they were putting him on freaking being an ambassador, I mean, they were moving him up in the political world. Why was it? Because he didn't have an opinion about anything, and they just thought he was the wisest man ever. So we'll have to rewatch that movie. And then of course in the end he just walks off into the
Yeah, he actually had no
Hi.
ego. Having no opinion is having no ego.
Yeah, it was pretty. That's a great movie. So we'll have to rewatch that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next week we'll come back and we'll read paragraph 4 here, and maybe we'll go back through 3 again as well. I appreciate you all guys being here so much, and put down the share so we can see each other. And here we go. And did Miss Cher leave us?
Yes, and a few people left the Vishnu, but everything is perfect always.
always. So
Always
Bye
pray.
all.
I love you all. Thank you for
Thanks,
Gotta
being here.
everyone.
laugh. You simply
you
gotta
all.
laugh.
Night night. See y'all in the morning.
You all come back now, you hear?
Good night, all. Thank you.
Good night.